Okay, starting with 1. I love the way at the end of the game you finally understand that all of these horrible things you've seen were not because someone's trying to kill you, but indeed she was trying to scare you away. She was trying to keep you away from her for as long as she could, because she's such a good person. I love that. That is so warped and not what you expected, and is one of these brilliant plot twists that actually hold up. And related to that, how Dahlia completely tricks you with giving you that talisman that you then bring closer to her daughter, enabling her to retake control. And the story is just so impossibly chilling that these people were trying to summon, a god, their religion's god, and that Dahlia Gillespie was literally willing to torch her own child just to ensure the coming of this god. Also, and I may very well not be the only one, I love the theme. The very first piece of music you hear, the very first experience of Silent Hill, it's unforgettable. And it probably remains my favorite piece of Silent Hill music to this day. I love how it transforms from regular Silent Hill to the alternate Silent Hill with the air raid siren, Harry getting like a headache, and the ground with the metal, the rust, all of it looking so abandoned and decrepit. I think both are among the best of the entire series, and I'm glad that they didn't use them again. I'm glad that each of them is just a bit different from what came before and what came since. No matter which of these you're playing, you can clearly tell that it's that one. I think that's all I had for first, so moving on to the second one. I'm sure that everything about the Mary Maria thing has already been said, so I'm just going to stick with, I love it, big thumbs up, excellent idea, and I love the ambiguity of it. I love how in this one the monsters are manifestations of James's feelings. The mannequin dolls that are all legs, 2 sets of legs on top of one another, the nurses, the bedridden monsters, and I love how the characters also in the town of Silent Hill in the game, apart from Maria, who is yet another manifestation, are like there for a reason. They have darkness in their heart, I think was said or written somewhere. You understand why they're there. And the fact that the resolution is his own inner personal resolution with the inner conflict he's had. I thought that was really, really good. Now in the director's cut version, there's this additional chapter where you play as Maria, and it has like a single puzzle and 1 new location to explore. I think the story of it is pretty good. It takes place like right before James meets Maria. I do think that it takes a little bit away from the whole, because you fight the same creatures as you do as James. And the way I perceived it was that the monsters you see in Silent Hill in the second game are based upon your personal problems. The way I understood it, the overweight guy, it's at least hinted that he sees people who mock him instead, or people who he feels are mocking him at least. Those are his monsters. Each of them has their own personal hell there in Silent Hill. The manifestations. Also the other girl, I can never remember her name, when she says, oh, you see the flames now too? I always see them. So it maybe doesn't make that much sense that Maria's fighting the same monsters as James. I don't know. If I had to rationalize it, I'd maybe say that since she isn't a real person, the monsters she's fighting have to be her host's monsters. I don't know. Loved it, and loved Pyramid Head. On to Silent Hill 3. I don't personally think that there should have been a sequel to the first one. I think it is perfect to leave them. I think every Silent Hill game should be its own story, completely separate from the rest. because that allows for ambiguity. That allows us to draw our own conclusions. Did it really happen? What really happened? I mean, let's face it, answers are boring. That's why we like mysteries. We want to be kept in suspense. We want to keep guessing. And especially these, I think there's so much potential for ambiguity, and the second one is especially ambiguous. And I think it is unfortunate to make a sequel to the first. With that said, it could not have been a better sequel. It is a brilliant way to do a sequel. Heather is really the new Cheryl, the one that Harry ran off with at the end of the first game. That's brilliant. She's been carrying the demonic god spawn inside of her the entire time. I love that. That is also, admittedly, the only way I can really explain all the monsters in the game. I mean, first one, Alessa's doing it to keep Harry away, because she's a good person. Second one, they're all manifestations. Some are of James, and the other people fight their personal manifestations. The third one, the only possible explanation I can come up with is that Claudia did it to feed the anger in Heather's heart, to make the god, to feed the god. It feeds on hate. Otherwise, I have no idea. I get that she had to kill Harry. I don't know, was the whole mole thing just distracting her until she could get time to kill Harry? I mean, the creature that killed him seemed to be moving fast enough. And how awesome of an ending is that? She uses the little pink pill, I don't remember how it's spelled, and I'm not sure I could pronounce it anyway. The thing in the first, the chemical that makes it come out, you use it on Sybil if you want the good ending anyway, that exorcises the creatures. She uses that on herself, pukes up the god fetus, and Claudia picks it up and... disgusting! And then she of course awakens the god and you have to fight it. Now, that did also bother me a little bit. Why could you just kill the god with bullets like that? I don't know, I guess it wasn't strong, that one either. I think it worked better in the first one, because the god just wasn't entirely strong enough yet, and thus you could kill it with bullets. I guess it's sort of the same thing in the third one. Maybe Claudia wasn't as good of a host as Heather would have been, I don't know. Also, I love Vincent. When he said, "They look like monsters to you," that was amazing. I love that. And I love the ambiguity that it does leave, because you're not entirely certain if he's sincere when he says, "Just kidding," That's it for the third one. On to the fourth one. As much as I love the portal, and the way that the first time you yourself have to move through the hole, I do think that it got to be routine. And that's a really unfortunate thing in horror, because you should never completely relax. You should never be used to something. That's when it stops being scary. I mean, once you would move back and forth between whatever world the portal was currently leading to and the room, you kind of knew how it was. It didn't particularly change. It just gradually had the portal leading to other areas, other worlds. And frankly, at least I got used to, okay, at the end of this area, someone's gonna die, and then we get to the next area. Up until the point where you started protecting Eileen, that was how it was. And I'm sorry, I didn't get to care about any of these characters. Richard I downright disliked. But I loved the idea of Walter Sullivan thinking that the room is his mother, and he has to wake her back up, which in reality is summoning the god to there. I thought it was really nice and creepy how occasionally Eileen would start chanting something. I mean, plenty of games have you escorting someone somewhere and... trying to protect them. This is one of the precious few where you actually feared the person you were escorting.